I dreamed it all ever since I was young. They said I won't be nothing. Now they always say congratulations. Worked so hard, forgot how to vacation. They ain't never had the dedication. People hating, say we changing, look, we made it. Yeah, we made it.
So that is not correct. That is not prehistory, okay? So I know you're probably thinking, oh yeah, that's prehistory. Well, it is a little bit, but the actual dinosaur part, using the handlebars and working out, no, that's not prehistory. So what we're going to do today, we're actually going to study prehistory, lesson 2.2 if you're using the Atlas program. To start up, what I want you to do if you're watching right now is just take a sheet of paper and your best guesses without using the internet, obviously, and it's kind of predict how old is the universe. Okay, next question, how old is the Earth? And when did humans appear on the Earth? Okay, so if you want some time, you can pause the video right now. So also, I want you to ask is, what is the oldest thing in this room that maybe you're in, or maybe the classroom? How about this wooden door? How about the wood itself? How old is the tree? The tree the wood came from, the seed that made the tree that made the seed. And the big thing and idea of that is the matter is all original building blocks to everything that we see. Okay, and so to kind of answer your last question up here, how old is the universe? The universe, if we're talking about the old Earth universe theory, is that it's approximately around 13 billion years old. Okay, 13 billion years, and that's a long time. Okay, you think about if you're going by the calendar, which most of us do, we talk about BCE and CE. The turning point to CE, which was the birth of Christ by our Gregorian calendar that we use, that was 2,000 years ago. That's a long time. Okay, that's only 2,000 years ago. 13 billion years. Okay, hopefully maybe that puts you in perspective. How old is the Earth? Well, approximately the Earth was kind of made around the same time as the whole solar system galaxy, so roughly around 4 billion years old. And when did humans appear on Earth? And this is all a controversy. Some have different theories about when humans appeared. Some theorize that humans, the cavemen who evolved, were actually relatively smart, and we're a lot more intelligent than we thought they are. And this is all theories, and I don't want to spark conversation or spark debate. And so this whole PowerPoint is going by this old Earth theory, which we'll go into in a later slide. But when did humans appear on Earth? Probably roughly around 200,000 maybe years ago, by one theory. How old is air? Well, part of the air is helium and hydrogen. It's probably 13 billion years old, while the other gases in the air, the oxygen, the nitrogen, etc., were created in stars and supernova, and they range from about 12 to billion years old. So, since you are made up of these atoms, you are also a billion of years old. So if your parents ever tell you, hey, start acting like your age, and tell them, hey, I'm a billion years old, technically. Okay, now that might get you in trouble. Maybe you should just, not say anything at all. But technically, you could say that because we are made up of these same atoms. And this is where I'm talking about the word about the age, Earth University controversy. Okay, there is a debate about how old the Earth is. Okay, we're not going to engage it. The curriculum that we're going by, that I'm going by, is from an old Earth/universe perspective. You can simply adjust the times as you see fit, but this gives what many scientists believe is a sequence of events. These are the best guesses, okay? It's not like some random dude just came in and said, oh yeah, and this is this, and because I believe that. No, no. These are scientists who take their job very seriously and make the best guesses of how long the Earth has existed. Okay, it's always good to know that there are other views regardless of your own. So if you are religious, your religious views or the way you view the world will sometimes be challenged by things you learn in school. But I'm not requiring you to give up what you believe. Okay, because anything in life you see is there's always going to be someone who thinks differently than you. Okay, rather than putting them down, saying you're wrong and I'm right, or just being crude, just how about you seek first to understand, then be understood. Okay, respecting other people's opinions. I think that's what a lot of our issues in the world today is that we don't respect other people's opinions, and it's you're wrong and that I'm right. No, let's how about we have a healthy engage of debate sometimes. There's nothing, you don't have to put down people in order to expand knowledge, but it challenges your thinking. I encourage students all the time to do the research for yourself, make your own claims. Okay, don't just go by what your parents say. Okay, even though they're probably there's reason why they think that because they have experienced things, but do the research for yourself. Okay, be engaging in knowledge all the time. Read books. Okay, do research. Okay, especially when you're voting. I hate all the time when I talk about uneducated voters. I don't mind if they vote differently than me, but I would like them to take knowledge of what they are voting for, right? So that's very important. Be respectful. The timeline of the universe. Remember when we talked about yesterday regarding different views of the age of universe? Look at the timeline. And this is what for my class, I had a big timeline. I stripped out on a bunch of receipts, and it was massive. And it shows the kind of comparison of how big and expansive the universe is. And later on, there's actually a video of which you can click on. It'll kind of show the same thing. Put the link in the hyperlink. I'll attach it in the description below as well. And it kind of goes over some of the stuff that we talked about. It shows some good information between the Paleolithic and Neolithic age. So if you want to pause right there, that'd be awesome. All right, so some questions that I want you guys to, if you watch the video the first time, watch it again. I want you to know some things. Copy down these questions. Okay, what types of artifacts seem to be left behind at the earlier parts of human history? All right, how does the video and pace of history change at the halfway mark? Okay, those are the most important questions. And then kind of just for your own engagement, what surprised you about the video? What questions does this video raise for you? All right, so this is our first segment. This is our first lesson. All right, so I talked about this in the first day, and if you have any more questions, you can come to class, talk to me about it. This is what we covered for the first day. So coming back from the video, our focus, what we're going to be talking about this whole unit, our focus will be on human history from about 200,000 years ago up to about 500 years ago. What date was it about 500 years ago? Well, it was about 1500 CE. So 1500 CE, about 1500 AD for some of those who still go, that still go by the BC and AD kind of time frame. This unit 2 will cover about 200,000 years ago to about 6,000 years ago in human history, known as the prehistory to the Stone Age. This time period is challenging because our answers do not leave behind any written records or documentation. So how is it possible to study them? Okay, this is a question you need to ask yourself. How is it possible for us to study something which we don't have a lot of documentation? It's not like our ancestors wrote a lot of things. So what can we use to learn about the time period that we're in or that we're going to be studying? Okay, so pause the video, take about a minute to kind of think about it. So right here I have a graphic organizer kind of answering those questions. So prehistory, there's written text, and there's today. Okay, and so the prehistory, about 30,000 years ago, the things that historians and archaeologists they find are cave paintings, fossils, and those can lead to a lot of different things. It could be weapons, tools, actual primary sources, materials, things that we can touch that kind of tell us about the time period. And tools that they use to kind of support those facts are carbon dating, relative dating, archaeology methods, anthropology methods. And so the difference between archaeology and anthropology is that archaeology is more of the study of materials and fossils and artifacts that we find. Anthropology is more about the study of humankind, okay, with human societies. So there's quite a difference there. So this is 30,000 years ago. These are the artifacts that are left behind that we can tell about the time period. Okay. Move up about 24,000 years, about 6,000 years ago. Now we're experiencing the first written text, so actual documentation. And these artifacts are still cave paintings, they're fossils. But now we're talking about language, so the cuneiform, symbols, hieroglyphics, law codes, Hammurabi, documents, actual written records of our ancestors and the time period that they're living in. The tools we use are still the same, but now we're text interpretation. Okay, interpreting what our ancestors were talking about. How did they communicate? What words did they use, or should I say, what symbols or what kind of different languages they used that we can interpret from our English dictionary. Okay, and then today, 0 years ago, or you can say 2000. Okay, artifacts that we still see were law codes, documents, images, and now audio recordings and video recordings now can be primary sources because of the advance of technology. So this video right now can be a primary source. Okay, it can be an artifact. Audio recordings can be a primary source. Because if you're talking about a certain time period, let's say you're talking about the 1940s, and you're trying to figure out how your grandpa lived, you can use audio recordings and maybe the music they listen to as a tone of how maybe their time period lived. A lot of those artists during those times talked about their lives, or they talked about the struggles that they were experiencing firsthand. All right, so video recordings can be the same thing. This YouTube video can be a primary source. Anything that has documentation and it's kind of reflecting the time period can be used as a primary source. And so we still use the same tools, a lot of them, but some new ones are some art history, text interpretation, language, books, photographs. Those are a lot of the ones that you use for sourcing. Oral history, talking to your grandparents or your parents about relatives maybe in the past, microscopes, and audio and video enhancement technology. And these three things, okay, prehistory, written text, and today, answer this question. The question, how do we know about the past? Well, these are the things that determine how we know about the past. These artifacts determine what we know about the past. The tools we use decipher how the artifacts are, how they date back, how we interpret them. That discovers how we know about the past. Okay, if you want to pause this right now and kind of copy this down, I would go ahead and do that. If you wanted to understand your great-great-grandparents' way of life but had no letters or written records, how would you do it? All right, so we kind of just talked about this. So try and test your knowledge and see a little bit. So maybe pause the video, give yourself about 30 seconds. If you wanted to understand your great-great-grandparents' way of life but had no letters or written records, how would you do it? So our answer would be, well, anything that kind of tells about the time period that you could use could help you determine how your grandparents lived. Oral history is probably the most common one. If you didn't have any letters written, people that experienced it or were friends with your grandparents who have met them, they could talk about those grandparents and how they lived, or just passed down from generation to generation. And that's very common. A lot of families have oral history that they take pride of, and that is something. How is studying people that lived 100 to 200 years ago different from studying ancient societies? Okay, there's not a lot of difference. Okay, and we still use the same tools for people about 200 years ago, the same way we would study about ancient societies. You have the right to know something about life back then, right? It has connected with your life. Today we use objects that are very similar to the ones 200 years ago. But our early ancestors did not use the same objects that we do today, so it's a challenge to study them. We do not have as much of a connection. These groups of people who specialize in this kind of study. Who is that uses artifacts to study cultures of the past? That's the archaeologists, okay? And historians work with archaeologists in the reconstruction of events and accounts, all right? So the rebuilding. We use this. They work together all the time. So real quick, I want to put you guys to the test. So right here is a mammoth bone pile, and this is a chopper found in the bone pile in north central Wyoming. Okay, so for example, if this chopper was found in this bone pile, what could you say about what our early ancestors were doing? Okay, so pause this video, give you guys about maybe a minute to think about this. So our early ancestors, they could have done a lot of different things. So we think of a chopper, we think of chopping something, right? Chopping wood, chopping bones. Maybe this was something that they used to break bones with so they could use the tools. Okay, I had one student say it almost looks like an axe or a hatchet. Maybe it was attached to something, maybe not. Who knows? foot breaking something. We can't really tell because if it's two-dimensional figure, but maybe it has a sharp edge. Maybe it was used to scrape the meat that's off the bones of the mammoth. Maybe it was for I'm trying to think of what some other students said. Maybe it was just for hitting and killing the animal with it. Okay, so this is what historians and archaeologists do all the time. They put the two pieces together, two puzzle pieces, and try to reconstruct or theorize what was probably going on with our ancestors in this pile. Because obviously, this mammoth is its bones are everywhere. It's not like it was attached and just died. Okay, something happened to it. Someone was messing around with this carcass. All right, so someone was interacting with it. Okay, the human environment was someone was interacting with it and using its resources. So we know it just didn't die. So this was probably someone can theorize that this was probably a tool that they used to kind of resource all parts of this mammoth. So here's a picture of some artifacts that we see that historians and archaeologists see and kind of determine the past of our ancestors, right? This is obviously some type of bison, and you can see that it's pretty good artwork. If you think about the tools that they had during that time period to draw something like this, that's pretty impressive. So to say our ancestors or human cavemans were stupid makes me believe that maybe that's not true, because also if you look in the UK, the Stonehenge, to think about what they did to build something like that, the tools they used, it's quite impressive. If you don't know what the Stonehenge is, look that up, and it'll tell you when that Stonehenge was probably dated back to. So our ancestors, I think, were very relatively smart, but they just didn't have enough tools to kind of use it in a way just because of the time period. All right, so here's another example, some more cave paintings or cave art. Looks like maybe like a zebra or cheetah. Interesting. Okay, like a gazelle, bison-like, and it's running with other animals. This one's pretty cool. I think this one is. I don't know if this is multiple hands or if it's one person's hand, and they're just kind of putting their making art of it. Really, really cool. Flutings on cave walls, so scratch marks. Some more flutings. We skipped a little bit of it because of some of it's more pertaining to class. However, hopefully it gains some knowledge out of this. Hopefully you're understanding about prehistory. No, it's not just dinosaurs, but it's also our ancestors and the age of the evolution of where they came from to how we are now. And so it's pretty interesting stuff. We'll go in more in details. There's going to be more videos. But if you like the video, please hit a like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Hey guys, thanks so much. This is Mr. T-Dawg.